In this video, we are talking all about the Walt Disney Company's 100th anniversary celebrated at the Disneyland Resort. We were there. It was a fantastic weekend. We're going to talk all about it up next on OG 55. Yes, welcome to another episode of OG 55. We have a stacked show for you today, a fantastic panel. Let's dive right in to the festivities. Right over here, we got Dre, Dr. Dre, host of Freshly Squeezed here on the channel. Welcome back, Vash Guy.
Hey, I'm happy to be back. Happy to be healthy enough to be back. Man, I got deathly ill when I came back from our just amazing trip that brought all of us together in some way, fashion, and form. And man, I just had a blast. And I guess my body just said, nope, enough. So I do apologize for my absence on the show. I am well enough to be back here today, however, and y'all were gracious enough to wait up. Oh wait, no, we had to reschedule for some other things. But I like to think that y'all waited up for me, so thank you for that. Anyway, if you want to go ahead and find me, you can go ahead and do so right down there at Vash Sky. Just go ahead and type that in. It should pop up for all the, as Christine Weislands McCarthy would say, for all the
robust. Ooh, had to get up there.
for the discussions there. And if you want to go ahead and see me, well, it's going to be the channel you're watching right now in Orange Grove 55. We have some incredible shows, but including mine, Freshly Squeezed, your source for juice, news, and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove.
Perfect. And right next to Vash, we got Ethan, Mr. Theme Park Wizard. Welcome back, Ethan. If you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
You can find me right here, Theme Park Wizard, YouTube. Do it now. You should just click off this video and go there right now. And then you can find me. You can buy some of this cool shirt here, sweatshirt on themeparkwizard.shop, and read some cool stories on themeparkuniverse.blog. That's the empire. You can spend all day just looking at me. Do it. Spend your Saturday doing it. Subscribe right now.
Yeah, you're the man. Subscribe to Mr. Wizard right now. And right below Mr. Wizard is our good friend Theme Park Casual. Casual, welcome back, brother. If you could let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Theme Park Casual, where I take you live to the theme parks here in Southern California and give you some other info and news here and there. You can also follow me on Twitter at Theme Park Casual, where we have thoughts, news, and discussion for the casual visitor from a former theme park commando.
Perfect. Again, thank you so much for coming on, Casual. And down below, we got the Family Man 23, host of the Citrus Corner show here on the channel. George, welcome back, sir.
Glad to be back, and spread out, fellas. It's a little bit crowded in here. But no, glad to be back. Glad to be talking this discussion with all of you, because I got to actually have the opportunity to spend time with you all at Disneyland. Unfortunately, I know some of the schedules got to spend separately. Wish we all could have been there together at once, but it was great. It was a perfect trip. But if you want to find me on my YouTube channel, Disney Family Man 23, you can interact with me on Twitter at Disney George. You can find me on a Walk with Walt podcast, and of course my home base right here on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Perfect. Without further ado, let's get started. We're talking all about the Disney 100 celebration that kicked off at the Disneyland Resort, and there is a ton to break down. The first thing we're going to discuss is the decor and the overall vibe and energy of the celebration. Okay, this is very interesting. If you're on Diz Twitter, you know about the decor. All right, this is a hot topic. But Dre, I'm going to start with you, brother. Well, here, let me go ahead and share your screen. So
Yeah,
everyone kind of see what we're
exactly,
talking
right?
about here. But I'll start with you. What are your overall thoughts on what we're seeing here?
Oh boy. Well, the decor. What is there to say about the decor? Uh, well, as I think Dave, Karen Caranci, I believe, who was heading up the Disney 100 festivities for Disneyland Resort, actually said it starts before you even get in the front gate. But I'll go ahead and I'll play a little bit of his thoughts first, and then we'll get into how maybe well executed this all was. So let's see here. Let's play a little bit from Disney's own live stream that they took down immediately thereafter. Kind of weird. To hear what they had to say.
Karansi, David, you're all over this broadcast. I've seen you
Hey,
all over the
don't
place,
worry,
man.
man.
It's pretty good, man. Let
So
me
they
step over
told
here
me
and give you some room.
they told me that you needed an expert,
Yes.
and everybody's working.
Yes.
So I came out to help.
Well, I'm glad you're here, man.
Wow,
Feels
how
great.
true that is.
Awesome. Well, I know you're here. Like, that's really well said. They needed an expert, and we got it, and you're here, bro. Now, Lev, don't sell yourself too short. No, you did pretty well just now.
Well, me and a lot of people, we've been working for weeks bringing all this to life.
Right.
But you know, our decor isn't just here in the parks. It starts outside of the parks too,
Okay.
before you get here.
Okay.
So what's really cool about it is when our guests come in, they'll see all of the great bunting and banners that we have, both at Disneyland and DCA, in downtown Disney, the hotel districts, and all the way through the resort. So some of the things like the different images that we're showing, the shields, the banners, they sparkle, they come to life, there's pixie dust. The guests are really going to enjoy this, and we have a lot of great...
Shoot, I've seen some medallions
yeah,
there,
you see
man.
some medallions, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So once you
We'll
enter
talk
the
about
park
that
on Main
for
Street,
sure.
USA, you'll find Mickey and Minnie in their full outfits, platinum, looking fantastic,
I love that.
reflecting all of the optimism and the creativity that's part of our Disneyland Resort. And then as we move into Walt's original Sleeping Beauty Castle,
Okay.
it's now dressed up in a style for the anniversary celebrating the wonder of the castle.
Let's see. Before we get to the castle, what do we think about the decor and the kind of, I don't know, the color scheme, the kind of signature pieces and some of these pieces of architecture that we've been seeing, or the medallions themselves? What are we thinking about that? Because I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of thoughts in this chat here.
Now, I just want to say, leave it right here because
Sure.
this is my biggest issue with the decor. Right here, this picture is like the perfect synopsis of why I don't like the decor.
Yes.
The medallions are very difficult to see. They get very muddy. You can't really read it. Look, see, even there, I mean, it's really hard to read this stuff. I mean, it's actually the medallion itself, the design is actually pretty great. It's just that weird kind of like iridescent color, silvery, whatever that they chose. It blends all together. It looks like just muddy water at that point. I really wish they would have done something different with these. What do you think, Casual?
To me, it just feels like I always call these a pulled punch because it feels like it's not quite finished. You know, it's like you can see what they were going for, but they didn't quite get there. You know,
Right.
It's like you said, it just blends in together. It's like there's no color on there. And if the light's not hitting it just right, you can't read anything, from 10 feet away.
Yeah. And look at the sculpture. I mean, the way they sculpted it is really, really great. If they painted it properly with colors and all that, this would be phenomenal. But
Yeah, have you guys seen the pins that they have, the 100 pins? The Disney 100 pins, they're like the shiny silver platinum characters, but then they've got a pop of color on them. Like Mickey's pants are painted the purple or something like that, or Mickey's polka dots are done. And that's how they should have done these. There should have been a pop of the purple somewhere on this just to make the important information stand out.
Yeah, 100%. Ethan, what are your thoughts on this? On the decor?
It's hard to see the medallions, but the rest of it, the color scheme, in love with it. I love every single color. I love these platinums and the purples. It reminds me of Oogie Boogie Bash or Halloween. I love it. I love this color scheme so much. It's the second best color scheme since the 60th anniversary. I am digging it. I can't read, even from it's hard to read this Disney 100 Year of Wonder. You can see the R is not even visible in that shot there.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
and I love the fountains at the castle and the castle
Oh
bunting.
yeah.
The color scheme is killing it. The merchandise, I don't like the dripping of the ears, but other than that, you know, the color scheme, all for it. So I give this an 8 out of 10. The whole overall decor.
Wow, wow, that's
Wow.
bold. That's bold. Well, Wizard, you kind of went with the purple kind of color scheme for your own channel. Yeah, you can see with the hoodie and stuff. So,
Mhm.
Purple
you know,
platinum is great. I love it. I'm digging it. If these were just perfect, then it would be like zoop, 10 out of 10 for me. But I just can't see this.
right?
This is what Casual was talking about right here with the pins. You can see here
Oh yeah.
they just have a pop of color right there. That's what he was talking about, and I do think that is that would have helped out a lot because I mean this stuff, it's very distinctive. It highlights the character on display and so forth, doing a color that's synonymous with them, and it just reads really, really well. Whereas this, like, instantly lost, and this is with a high quality camera. I mean, I'm sure Disney, shelled out the big bucks to have a crew come in here and actually film this, and even then, they were having problems. So I think that these medallions right here are unfortunately, and you can see
Oh,
some
look
of
at
them
that.
right
Gorgeous. Oh, gorgeous.
We'll get there. Well, you can see. I mean, they just get lost.
Yeah.
They're just not very distinctive at all, unfortunately. But there were some even more problems when it came to the banners and displays that they had for this anniversary. And as Dave pointed out, it starts even before you get in. Well, this whole situation, right? Now this comes to us via Walt Disney World News Today. Gonna go ahead and give them a shout out, of course. But as you can see here, this is before on your left, and then on your right is after. And why is there a before and after? Well, there were problems getting those dates to line up with the milestones or events or whatever that they were actually celebrating, which was a huge problem, considering that, well, this is all about celebrating the company's milestones over these last 100 years. So these were some of the more egregious examples, but Snow White, 1939, not close. 1937, and fortunately they did rectify this issue, but you can kind of hear, OG, we were having this kind of debate internally. Like, did they outsource this stuff? Did they have this done internally? I was like adamant they had to have outsourced this,
Right.
because
So was I.
how could you get this kind of stuff wrong?
But
And
even
unfortunately,
so, you can Google it.
yeah, you can Google it. Like
Right.
there's so many ways in which you can actually pick up this information if you weren't already working for the Walt Disney Company. But you even heard Dave. It's like, we had weeks. It's like, maybe that's why. Maybe it was a quick turnaround time. But we were informed by, let's say, somebody who has the information for which to give, that it was like, nope, this was done internally. And, well, that's even more embarrassing, to be quite honest with you.
Well, and me personally, I feel like whether it was internal or from an outsource, the fact that it has to take someone to bring it up on social media for Disney to then rectify it and then fix it, it has to go through so many processes, so many layers before it's supposed to be put up. Not one person couldn't say or see that something was wrong, that they have to literally just rush and say, okay, let's get this up. Literally go through the process of saying, okay, do we have the color scheme right? Do we have the wording proper? Do we have the years correct? I mean, a mistake is a mistake. It does happen.
Right.
But the fact of how much of a process it takes, this shouldn't happen, especially at Disney. But if you don't mind, I'm going to actually go back to the initial question of how I feel about the decor.
Please, John.
That I love the color scheme. I do, in a certain degree. But kind of go actually what Ethan was saying, that it reminded him of Oogie Boogie Bash for Halloween. That is essentially how I felt when I walked into DCA and I saw the banners down on Carthay Circle. It reminded me of Oogie Boogie Bash, and that is where it kind of fell short for me because I want to see a distinction. When I go into Oogie Boogie Bash, I want to see the look of Oogie Boogie Bash. When I go for the 100th, I want to see a differentiated style. Now, when it comes to that gigantic dime or whatever you want to call it, medallion, because that's what it looks like to me. When you actually look exactly, and I'm glad you actually said sand dollar. What that reminds me of, if you go to Castaway Cay on a Disney cruise, they have these sand sculptures that actually resemble that. And that's what kind of throws me off, because that's something that you would see that they have displayed up on the island, on the beach. So again, I would love to see a pop of color. I would have loved to see maybe the 100 and the 100 Years of Wonder, have it outlined, throw some color in there so it can show exactly what it is. But yeah, essentially that's what it looks like. It looks like an oversized sand dollar to me.
Disney 100 inspired by Castaway Cay. Oh, we got
Right.
information.
There we go.
This
There we
is
go.
concept artwork that was released by Disney. I didn't even know this existed, but
That
this is what it was
looks nice.
supposed to look like.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, vastly different. I mean, this is really, really eye-popping and impressive. But the problem is that Disney can't control the sun and the angles and the reflect. I mean, they can't control that, and they went with this thing, and it just in execution in the real world, the sun hits it, and it just kind of like washes the whole thing out.
Well, it looks like they were supposed,
but it just didn't work out in real life.
looks like they were supposed to have like a darker background.
Yeah, I was going to
And
say the
then
background
Yeah,
looks
they
more
had
like
a lighter
pewter.
in the floor.
Yeah,
they had a
and then
lighter.
a
looks
chrome,
more
like a
shiny,
dipped
yeah,
chrome look for the exterior, look for the detailed portion.
But then what we got was one tone.
Right, one
to the
tone. I
things.
wonder if there was some value imagineering there, a little bit.
But I will say though, everything that they showcased in the Disney Parks vlog presentation, I have to say one thing that was spot on for me, whether the sun was beaming, whether it was going down, was the monorail. I absolutely love what they did with the monorail.
Yeah.
Dang.
Let me see if I brought that up here.
You got to write on it too, that very one. I was like, yes.
There we go.
Yeah, the monorail looked gorgeous, and the reflection off of the water of the Summer Lagoon. It was just,
Wait.
look at this.
Yeah, this looks and I mean, in video close up like this, you might have some thoughts. I'm telling you, when you see this thing swinging out and the sun hits it just right, I mean, it looks gorgeous. I mean, I think this was universal appeal, universal praise, for sure. This really hit it right out of the box, in a big way. Casual, I think that's what you were also saying, right? Like, it doesn't have to be super expensive, over the top, whatever. You can make a wonderful impression for almost universally all guests, if you just apply some thought and some logic to it. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the simplicity of it and the fact that it works for where it's being placed as well.
Right.
I don't know if that. Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, because it's on the monorail, I don't. You couldn't use that same iridescent, finish necessarily everywhere on the castle or on Main Street. It works on the monorail because it's very modern, very sleek, so it really fits very well.
Yes.
The same thing with the points of light on Spaceship Earth. That was universally loved because it was appropriate for where it's being placed.
Right.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, Casual. That's a fantastic point. Where on the monorail, the context of the shiny, kind of almost like holographic looking material looks great on the monorail. It really fits the monorail, But like you said, if you put that on, say, Main Street, which they actually did with the bunting, that same kind of material, it doesn't work as well on a turn of the century little Americana street. It looks a little off. So like right there, see, it doesn't really work on the monorail. Definitely, no. So it's definitely where you place it. It matters, and I don't know.
I'm so glad you bring that up, OG, because yeah, we'll get to the castle in just a second. But when it comes to the bunting, the what is it, the fabric draped across some Main Street facades. That features this kind of holographic pattern. I'm trying to find it here for you, but I might not have brought it up, unfortunately. But when you put that up there, oh, here we go. Yeah, a little bit. That's close enough, right? It's like, wow, like it kind of takes you out of the story that they're trying to tell through either Buena Vista Street or Main Street, because you just kind of figure like, oh, the people in 1902 wouldn't have access to like holographic iridescent paint, or textures and patterns and so forth. Right. So when you see it kind of up against these kind of classic facades, it is kind of it just doesn't quite work, I think, as well as intended. And I think they would have, maybe simpler might have been better in this case. Maybe do like a white drapery or silk or linen there instead of just a iridescent or holographic type pattern. So that it could be maybe more consistent with the facades that you're kind of intermixing this with. And that's kind of... that little design texture or detail just was unfortunately omitted with a lot of these decorations that I saw.
You know what I would love to see? I would love to see Disney really go all in with the 100th and kind of research maybe materials and design work from the 1920s and take inspiration from that and utilize that in the bunting and what have you, and really be true to the era, right? That's 1923, the year the Walt Disney Company was founded. Let's go ahead and decorate the park with stuff very reminiscent of the 1920s. I think that would have been awesome. I think this is kind of a holographic material. Aside from the monorail, it looks great, but it's a little too like Back to the Future Part 2 for me, right? It just feels a little bit like off. It's like the very much the 1980s. I don't know. Just for the anniversary, it's a little bit weird, but
no, it is, and we kind of had a lot of the same feelings there. As I was speaking to Casual and some of the other people in our party, it's not quite the right mix. Now, I do agree with you, Wizard, that the color scheme, doing the kind of iridescent thing and so forth, I actually do quite like that. But it's when you use those touches. It's when you use those the combination of patterns that they actually chose, when to use them, when it's appropriate. I think that also speaks to how well these things are perceived later on. And unfortunately, this wasn't great. And honestly, I thought one of the biggest disappointments when it came to decor was the castle, because what we had seen before in the concept artwork was actually pretty nice. If you can show that real fast, yeah, like this is actually okay. I was kind of digging what they were vibing for here. But you could see some of the use of patterns and colors and so forth were very different from what we actually received in the end. And unfortunately, the topper there didn't quite make the debut, which is unfortunate. But
can you go back to the previous picture?
Sure.
See, the way that this concept looked, it almost looks as if it's already embedded within the castle. It connects almost like in an organic way where it flows, where everything kind of fits together, where when then you look at what they actually produce, it just feels like somebody saying, we're doing a surprise birthday party. They're almost here. Let's just throw this up on here just to get it done.
See, for me, I kind of feel like the artwork. Yeah. See, I feel like the artwork is a very idealized version, obviously. This definitely looks like what we got, but I think it was more like, oh man, in the real world, it doesn't really work like that, right? Like, I don't know. It reminds me very much of the art, but I just think in execution, it doesn't really. I don't know. It's weird. This looks really cheap right here with
even in the art, you can't see the 100 logo anyway.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's very true.
So this is interesting. So the fairies and the cloth, right, were colored, consistent with those characters. Whereas in
This is great.
reality, they're just kind of gray, and with everything else that they've done here. But also too, if you notice, you see the Disney 100 in the kind of crest part of the
I can't see
drapery
any
there.
of them. Yeah, I can see it. But I
Right?
can't read it.
Well, that's not there. These are the stars here. So there were definitely changes that were made from reality, as it went through the process from
Wait,
actual
that's a
concept.
Disney 100 there? Where? Oh, and those things? That's a 100? I
Yes.
can't read
I
it.
can barely see it. Yeah, I can barely
Bad
see it.
Well, it is a
Anyway.
low resolution image, but they are there. You could see though that the pattern is completely different as well.
Oh, yeah, the
They
pattern.
did
Yeah.
not go with the star pattern.
Now, see, I actually like these stars. I don't know. I actually dig the stars. I don't mind the holographic material on the stars because again, it works with what it is. It's a star. It's supposed to shimmer. That doesn't really bother me too much. Not the worst thing ever.
Plus, they have the purple background behind it, so you could still kind of showcase the star as it being one type of matter. But I don't know. I don't know.
I like the stars. I don't like them.
No.
I like the stars. I think they're pretty cool. I mean, look, they're poppy and starry, and it's like, I don't know. It's right there.
Yeah, see, I don't mind the stars. I mean, the stars to me are on the whole castle. It's probably the better aspect of the whole thing, in my opinion.
Now,
Casual?
what do you know? Oh, yeah, that's what I was. Yeah,
Well, I was going to say, you look, they switched the hanging part of those is more of the iridescent silver, and the top is purple, and in this one it's silver up top, purple.
Oh, that's true.
So they inverted it for some reason.
That's true.
It's
That's
And
interesting.
it could be that once they put them up, they were looking at it and going, you know what, I think we need to flip it because the purple should be at the
Contrast.
top and draw your eye out that way. So we could be looking at the concept art thinking, oh yeah, it looks better, but in reality, when they got it up there, it was like, oh, okay, hold on, that's too much purple or something like that. Because that happens. I mean, when you're designing things like that, you get them down, and then when you look at it, at full size or in context, you suddenly go, oh wow, that's the wrong way to go.
Yeah.
George, you're going to ask?
No, I was just going to ask you, fellas, because I was hearing a lot of people having different opinions while we were actually there on the fountains.
Love them.
Okay.
And I was curious, what were your overall thoughts?
Oh, I was
I
just
just
going to
wish
get to that, so that's
They
perfect.
change colors. I don't do that. Do these things change colors, or are they always like that?
I don't believe it changed any different colors. If I
Dang it.
recall.
Okay, well, I love the fountains. I just wish they had changed colors. Then it'd be perfect. Oh, look how gorgeous those things are.
This footage comes to us via our dear friend of the channel, Casual. Hey, wait, you're right there. Okay,
Hey.
cool. No, I joke. Yeah, but look. Well, you know what? I'll let you listen. Here we go. Let's see if I can actually get this going. Come on. That's fantastic. I know a lot of people are kind of like have mixed opinions.
I think you should change your name to Casual ASMR.
Yes.
There you go. Right now, I know a lot of people have some, strong opinions. Oh, they're tiny, they're small, they're this, they're that, they're whatever. Now, I will echo Casual sentiments about the flow of the fountains, which I will have him describe that. But I think they're the perfect kind of size for our castle. Again, our castle's not huge; it's kind of small, right? So you don't want to have anything that actually takes away from the castle. The use of color, like they do, and they kind of change, I think is a very nice, wonderful addition. It adds a lot of ambiance around this area that it didn't quite previously have before. I think this is an absolute win, and you don't want these to be super huge, right? You don't want overspraying in various areas. You don't want wonky things happening. I think this is a go.
Yeah. What do you think, Casual?
Yeah, I actually like them a lot. I think they're just about perfect. I like that they're, like you said, small. They don't detract from the castle. They don't become a show of their own. The only thing I don't understand is, to me, they feel, and I think the way I was putting it was, they feel imprecise.
Oh, that's a good point. Like it's kind of like the way that the nozzles kind of spray. It's not like a clean
Yeah,
like stream.
Yeah, and you can see there's one down there that's like, just seems like it's just kind of like it's got a clogged nozzle and just barely able to, spray the water up. And then even the center fountain, it just feels like it's just a mishmash of spray and different water pressure happening throughout. So
it's like a shower head, basically, right?
Yeah, kind of like a clogged shower head a little bit. And that's the only thing. And I don't know if they were going for that in the sense of, well, let's use, a nozzle that's 1950s technology, and give it that homey throwback kind of feel, which is fine. Like I said, I still think they're fantastic, and I would not be upset if they say, we're going to keep the fountains,
I like them
until
like 'em a lot.
we need to get rid of them or something. I really think they were a nice touch for the castle.
There's something charming about them.
Exactly.
They're not overwhelming, but yet they're not underperforming, so to speak. It's just enough to kind of give the castle what it already is, but just give it a little plus, as Walt would call it.
Right.
Wizard,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Oh, love them. All I need is them to change colors and be incorporated into a fireworks show, and then I'd be chef's kiss perfect. Oh,
Yeah, looking at the video right now, you can see that there are color lights in there, and it's going from pink to blue here and there.
Yeah, I do notice that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Very subtle.
We need like a strong World of Color type vibe going on there. Oh, that'd be great. Fireworks with these fountains integrated into the new show. We had some drones in there. Oh, wee! Those are the best ever.
I really love the pink. I really love the pink and blue lights, though, because obviously they did that because our castle is Sleeping Beauty's castle, and we all know her dress changes from pink to blue. I really like that little touch. That's a nice little subtlety in there that that I really, really enjoy. And I'm with you, Casual. I hope they keep these fountains. I think they will. These probably weren't like super cheap to install. I can't imagine them ripping them out now after the 100th. I think they're here to stay, and I think they should. I think they're great, very charming, like George said.
I see this as an absolute win.
There you go.
There we go. Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to our next topic related to the 100th. Big attraction in Toontown. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is open, ready for business. We all got to ride it this last weekend. George, I will start with you this time. What are your overall thoughts? Now, you've been to the one in Hollywood Studios. You rode that one. You rode the one here in California. George, what are your overall thoughts on the attraction, how it kind of coincides with Toontown, the land it's in? Just all your musings and thoughts on what's going on here.
Okay, so I'll start off with just the overall theme of what this attraction is all about. And as you had mentioned, OG, I have been on the version at Walt Disney World at Hollywood Studios in the Grauman's Chinese Theater, for which replaced the Great Movie Ride, you assholes. Sorry, but anyway, I digress. Not bitter, not bitter at all. But the one in Toontown absolutely blew me away as far as the overall theming of what this attraction is and the placement of where this attraction was. Where when you enter Grauman's Chinese Theater, it doesn't really fit that notion, because yes, you're going in to see a film, which that's what Grauman's Chinese Theater usually represents. But then it kind of takes you off into say, okay, well, what if you enter into the world? And it's just lost in translation. Where with this, you're expecting to go into the film because that's what Toontown represents. And the queue, my gosh, this queue was an absolute wonder. I mean, you could just let me go in and walk the queue, and I'll be satisfied.
The queue is almost like a walk-through attraction.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's
Exactly. And just
fantastic.
you have things everywhere. You have things you can interact with, and it pays tribute to Mickey and even a little bit even with Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and all the classic Mickey Mouse shorts, and it just fits perfectly. As far as the attraction itself, there's minor things that are different compared to Florida's than to Disneyland's. The one change that I don't understand why they did this, I mean, you could clearly see it. Dre caught it as well. At the end of the final scene, when the train assembles back together and Goofy meets up with Mickey and Minnie sitting at the park with Pluto, you normally at Walt Disney World, they are sitting to the left side of the train. Here at Disneyland, they're to the right, but they never flipped Goofy's animation, so he's waving to the wall. He should be waving to Mickey and Minnie. Small little minor thing. I will say this version really jerks you around as far as the ride system goes. It's a little bit more on the rougher side than Walt Disney World, but I like that. It gives it some fluent animation to it. And one more final thing that may not be a big deal, but the ending when it changes from the factory to the park, I feel like they change it too fast. By the time you enter that final room, it's supposed to give you that sense where you could scope out the whole entire scene and watch it transform before your eyes. And I feel like they do it a little bit too fast, and then they pull you out of that final scene. But those are my minor critiques. Overall, I love the attraction as a whole. I think it fits so much better at Disneyland in Toontown than it ever would at Walt Disney World in the Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Yeah, and this attraction does a few things. Number one, it secures Toontown for decades to come. I mean, there were rumors, like just a few years ago that Toontown was on the chopping block, that it was possibly going to be like, expansion for Galaxy's Edge. There was a moment there where Toontown was in real jeopardy. This attraction secured Toontown's spot at Disneyland for decades and decades to come. Now, also another interesting thing is when you look at the size of Toontown, it's a pretty small land, but this land now, despite being super small, has a pretty solid roster of attractions. You have Runaway Railway, which a lot of people think is maybe like a D+ ticket, E-ticket, right? And next door, you got like Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, which again is like a D+ E-ticket. Phenomenal. And you're going to have the little coaster on the other side of the land, but that's solid for how small this land is. I mean, that's pretty great.
Oh, and I'm sorry. One more final thing I have to say.
Sure.
Looking at Toontown at night is absolutely
gorgeous.
Of what they did with the back landscape, with the new setting of how it looks, with Walt's barn in the distance, and the backdrop with the light of the El Capitan Theater. It almost kind of puts it up there with me, sort of not as high, but sort of how like Cars Land is at DCA. Like when you can have a land that can come alive just by the lighting, you have me.
Right. Dre, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to upload some video that I took of for casual, actually, of Toontown at night. So we'll get that in a moment. But I wanted to go ahead and bring this to your attention here. George, you actually said that, yeah, Goofy does address the wrong side. You can actually see it in this clip that Disney themselves shared, which is very funny. Goofy's looking over to his left when, or from the audience's standpoint, to the left when Mickey and Minnie are actually on the right. So, and from what I understand, we were talking to our, what do we call that? What do we call him? OG? Do you trust me, bro? Right?
Do you trust me, bro? Yeah.
They know about that. Like they know about that error. They know about that flaw. They are working on it right now to get that corrected. So don't worry, George. That problem won't last very long here. But because of the spatial requirements of this attraction, how they had to kind of bring it in and kind of join you with the back area and all of that, that's kind of why these scenes kind of flipped, or maybe the ceiling's too low, or maybe you get out of the factory scene too quickly. It's all kind of that whole hodgepodge right there. So hopefully some of these things will be ironed out, which would be awesome. Look, OG, I very much echo your sentiments about Toontown. I mean, it was looking rough there for a while, and we had complained a lot actually about how, hey, you gotta, like, if you're not going to do anything with it in terms of a revitalization project, maybe you should actually get rid of it. And maybe just keep Roger and that's it. Well, thankfully, they're actually going through the entire area. Not only are they adding a wonderful addition, which is Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is going to add so much to Toontown itself, but they're revitalizing the entire area. And like George said, at night, I mean, this place is really, really something. It is spectacular.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. Casual thoughts on Runaway Railway?
I absolutely loved it. I was looking forward to this more than I was Rise of the Resistance, and it did not disappoint me. It is such a fabulous, cute, adorable little ride. And I think the part that shocked me the most was I always thought the little dance room scene with Daisy Duck was, I was like, okay, we know that's there to kind of hold everybody and, be able to space things out and, give that moment where if they have to stall a little bit, they can. But when it does the conga, oh my God, I was like giggling like a little kid. I was like, it's fun. We're doing the conga because it actually like kicks you out, at the little whoa, and you see everybody in the car. I was just, oh
Despite
my God,
even if you don't want to dance, it will make you dance.
Exactly.
Oh, well.
That's exactly it. I was like, that little spot solidified it for me because I was just like, it's those tiny little touches that can bring a childlike joy to you is what I consider, hitting a home run.
Absolutely. I'm not even a fan of the Paul Ruddish Mickey shorts, but I think that this attraction took the best parts of the shorts, the best aspect of the shorts, and put it into this ride. It's a very cutesy, very whimsical attraction. One of my big criticisms of the shorts is that it gets a little Ren and Stimpy with the animation, a lot of close-up, kind of gruesome kind of shots. Thankfully, they don't do any of that in this attraction, and it's a very cutesy little thing. It's really handled beautifully. Mr. Wizard, what are your thoughts on Runaway Railway?
Boy, I loved it. I think it was trying to compete with the Matterhorn and breaking my back, and I liked that even more. I was going and going. As soon as it took off, I remember me and you, OG, were like, whoa, what's this thing? This thing's moving. We're like, wow, that thing takes you off, and that was crazy. I loved it. It was great, and I liked the second ride way better than the first. I liked the first one, but when we took a full 2 cars, me, you, Provost, Park Pass, Sean, we took up 2 cars right there. And then we went into the conga segment. I still have that video. And we're boom! I was like, woo! We're on the Space Mountain all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Great addition. And that nighttime, ooh, my jaw was dropped like that. It was dropped. And of course, I can't go through this without mentioning my favorite little park space. Yes, I laid on the ground. There was a witness, 3 people. George, Dre, and OG saw me make a grass angel on the grass. I said I was gonna do it, and I did it. I love that little grass area. I can't wait to see the rest of Toontown in March.
I can't wait. I can't wait to go back and see your imprint on the grass. That's
Well, let's dive into the grass. Let's dive into some fake grass because that's what we do here in OG55. We talk fake grass.
Fake grass.
Fake grass.
Let's talk about it.
Oh boy,
Dre, what are your thoughts on the fake grass? The whole area, the concept behind it, the execution. Where are you at with this?
yes, I probably should have had some images pulled up with fake grass, but I don't. But yeah, so okay. A couple things. One is, okay, I will echo people's sentiments about relaxation areas being removed from Disneyland and how that's been a problem for a number of years now, about 20 years on and off. They've been removing kind of, we saw the Court of Angels, obviously, some areas near Hungry Bear. And it's just kind of been whittled away in order to maximize traffic or whatever operational reality.
Dre, I sent you a photo. Sorry, I just wanted to.
Oh, you did?
I sent you a photo.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay. Maybe I can get that up here. But you know, people have been talking about that for a while. So to bring an area that like is dedicated to relaxation, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's a really kind of a strong thing. I think my difficulty with it is, man, does it look pretty bare? Like it looks, you know, there's just not much that kind of breaks up that area. And obviously we lost the fountain for it, which was a perfect fit for that area. So when you see just this kind of large swath of grass, very little trees, and even fewer benches, it's kind of shocking. It is. And then you see how that kind of grass was actually put in. It's a little lumpy. It's not looking super great. That also is kind of a problem because that's how it starts. It's only going to get worse from there. So I kind of have mixed feelings about it. And while some of these other guys are talking, I'll get some of these graphics up and show you what we're talking about.
I sent you the nice nighttime shot.
Nice, thank you as well for that.
Now, in terms of the fountain and all that, Mickey's Toontown, prior to this kind of reimagining, had two fountains. They got the one in Mickey's neighborhood, right, and then they got the Roger Rabbit fountain. Now they've destroyed both of those fountains, and we're getting a new fountain kind of in the middle where the Jolly Trolley station used to be. Now, I'm actually, as much as I loved both of those fountains, especially the Roger fountain, I think it was kind of the right decision, though. It's a very small land. Do you need two fountains? I think it's a little overkill. And I do think that this grassy area provides a great service to the land, because now you can have families with their strollers and everything kind of have a dedicated area to get them off like the main, thoroughfare of Toontown. I think it's actually a brilliant use of space, in my opinion. We're still going to get a fountain. We're just not going to have the same two that we had before. So I'm okay with it. I do echo Dre's concerns, though, with the area. I do think it looks a little bare. Hopefully, as the trees grow in and really kind of, fill up a little bit, hopefully that looks a little better. The install of the fake grass, I agree with Dre again, a little rough. There are some kind of rolls in it and everything like that. Not a huge fan of that, but overall, I like the little grassy area. I think it's a good use of space, a smart use of space. I just hope they can kind of fix some of the unsightly install problems with the grass. Maybe they can go in there and kind of fix all that. That is a little unsightly. Go ahead, George.
The visual aesthetics are quite pleasing. Like, I know what they were trying to go for with that. As far as like the installation process, it's a little bit underwhelming because of how much this area is going to withhold with so many people walking on it, putting their strollers there. How much would they have to keep on replacing? Here's a photo of me and Dre testing out the grass, if you will.
And just some nice highlights in there.
I know, you believe that? It's Disney magic. I got that boy bander going on without even. But I actually had a great conversation with a friend of the channel, Marty, who we bumped into.
Marty Schneider.
Yes, at Toontown. And he was saying, based off of how, if you actually look at where both attractions reside, as Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, and where all the present strollers are at, once Roger Rabbit reopens, they have to have that guest flow moving. And a lot of the strollers are now going to be placed on this grassy area. But that's where I feel like Disney's going to have that issues, because when you start pushing the strollers on, that grass is going to start bunching, because you can already see those bubbled areas that aren't like a complete flat surface.
What are your thoughts on this, Casual, this use of space?
Yeah, you see those wonderful kids playing. That's nice.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Once it becomes stroller parking, you're not going to be able to play on it like that. So it just is basically, a nice padded stroller parking lot.
I'd like to see if they have an operational what is it solution for that, and hopefully maybe they've dedicated other areas of Toontown for stroller parking, but I don't know. I mean, it's
And I honestly, I would have liked to see some sort of water feature tucked away in the corner, at least
Yeah.
something
That
like
would be
that.
cool.
Just something.
Hey, that would be nice.
Yeah.
yeah.
At least, we had Centennial Park. That'll be bigger. And places to lay, too. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they could have come up with something, just, take a famous fountain from somewhere in the world and tunify it, do something like that just to give it something. Like I said, but it's oddly peaceful when you're there.
Yeah,
it was like nice and quiet and mellow. And I was like, maybe that's what they were going for. And if that's the case, then they nailed it.
Well, when I think it's actually kind of a nice little kind of homage to Walt in a way, because Walt's whole philosophy was family time, basically. And this is a whole land dedicated to Mickey Mouse. I mean, Walt's first, well, not really his first, but his first big character, right? So you have this whole land dedicated to Mickey Mouse, and you have this whole area now where families can kind of lounge around, have a little picnic and chill together. I just think it's kind of a nice little homage to Walt in a real subtle way. You got the family spending time together in a land that's kind of dedicated to Mickey Mouse. I like that. Now that's me just being a freaking nerd. A lot of people probably won't ever connect that, but I did, and I dig it. I dig it. There's the fountain. Now, why couldn't they? I was talking to Dre about this on the phone last night. Why couldn't they have just maybe kept the fountain, but made it like a giant plant and put flowers in there and stuff?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it's probably just the footprint. They wanted as much surface space.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, too, you don't want kids climbing on fountains if it's flowing water. Obviously, it's like, okay, stay out of it. But maybe that was a concern as well. It's really unfortunate that they got rid of that. It's such a signature piece for this area, and now it's been replaced with just kind of grass and like 3 benches, which is I mean, come on, we can get some more there. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'd like to see how all of Toontown works operationally before judging any one area too harshly. But I will say this. This is the footage of night here that I was able to bring up.
Oh, my God.
This works. This works really, really, really well. And Toontown always had kind of a quiet, great nighttime package with it, but this just brings it to a whole new level. I mean, this looks really, really good.
I knew when we had that big show building behind the land and they had to cover it up, it was actually going to be a blessing in disguise, because now you have even a bigger structure, and this whole thing is way more immersive than before. I mean, if you remember the old school hills, they were very, very small. They barely got above the city hall. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This looms over the land in a good way. This is a very immersive experience now when you walk in here. It really hits you. I mean, it's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The hills are gorgeously painted.
With Walt's barn in there.
With Walt's barn kind of hidden in there. Beautiful job by Imagineering. Absolutely love this. Absolutely love it.
You can almost say that the hills, they're alive.
Yes.
Now a Disney film, by the way.
And the good thing is now we'll get to enjoy it more, because Toontown will now be open till midnight. Oh boy!
Yeah, that's true.
That's
a good kind of transition there, Wizard. Interestingly enough, now I will say we've gotten some kind of test footage of something of some kind on the hills there using projections. That might be cool, but we did experience this where Toontown did close before the fireworks. How do we all kind of feel about that operationally? Are we liking that? Is that I mean, I was surprised. Like 6:30 they closed the entire thing down.
6:30.
Yeah, I think that's very early. As far as just by putting in a brand new attraction, you want to showcase this as much as possible. And especially of what we just witnessed on that video of how breathtaking it is at night. A lot of people aren't going to have that opportunity depending on what else is part of their schedule throughout the day. and because more so fireworks are going to go off every night. So it's like, how can they then balance out, okay, having the fireworks, but still keeping Toontown operational. But based off of how I guess the location of where they shoot off the fireworks, I don't even know how they could even then change it, because they would have to change the whole location, right?
Well, here's the thing too, is I was watching, I actually just found her channel and she's absolutely phenomenal. Jordi Andrade. I love her live stream. She's hilarious. But she was streaming last night at the park. I think Wondrous Journeys, like on the weekdays, goes off like earlier than in the weekends. Is that correct? I remember watching her stream and it was only like, I think it was like 7:30 or something, and Wondrous Journeys was already going off. So maybe that's why it's closing so early, but that doesn't really explain, I guess, on the weekends, because on the weekends it's like 9:30 the show, right?
Well, and I think they made the announcement that if the parks stay open past, I think, up to 11 or on, then Toontown would then reopen. And I think, but when you have a virtual queue that's already backed up, so many, and they would have the guest flow moving anyway, but I think that would only work beneficial once Mickey and Minnie's ends their virtual queue and it just becomes a regular either standby or lightning lane.
So I was gonna say, well, I feel like once the boarding groups end, then they would close like it used to, because you don't have to like squeeze in the boarding group. You just say, all right, shut it down. All right, come back at 10 or whatever. You don't have to like squeeze in boarding groups 70 through 45 or whatever, because there won't be a boarding group. So you can just shut it off and turn people away, and come back in 2 hours.
And that was kind of my feeling, Ethan. Right now, it's kind of a really difficult time, because you have these kind of virtual queues, these boarding groups, these lightning lanes and stuff that you have to kind of facilitate, and you can't even let them in past a certain point. Unless they actually have those requirements to actually ride Mickey's Runaway Railway, because it is, it's not quite the quarter that we were imagining in our heads when we heard about this concept at first. But it is very restrictive in that area of the land as it stands right now. So they have to be selective about who actually goes in there, and maybe when they actually go in there. So I kind of think, look, they have permanent signage that they've constructed now. 8 to 10, Toontown's going to actually be closed. They probably want 2 hours worth of people in Runaway Railway at any one time, and they'll just cut off the line whenever that happens, to be before the shutdown. So that's about 6, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that all of Toontown will be closed at 6. It could be that, just the attractions start closing up at around 6 or 7, right? You can still shop, you can still do everything, and then 7:30, 7:45, we're getting people out of here, and now it's go time. So we'll have to see how this operational thing kind of develops. But I was surprised. 6:30, we couldn't actually fulfill our boarding group initially because we were denied entry. It was quite interesting.
Now, because we have Wizard on and he's our Universal guy. He's our Universal guy. Look at Ethan. He perked up when I said Universal.
Guys, I'm on the app because it's like 6:30 right now. So I'm trying to see if it's if I can, if you can get into the Mickey and Minnie's. But I'm trying to make it difficult. But I'm trying to see, because you said 6:30 was closing. So I'm like, oh wait, it's 6:30 now. Let's see if people can still get in. And I'm still trying to figure it out.
So my question is that we've heard, and this is going to relate to this. So this kind of stay with me here on this. I'll get to how this relates to Toontown.
Because the drones, and then with drones, and you can keep it open with drones. That way you don't.
We've
want those drones so bad.
We've heard that Epic Universe is sort of designed to close off certain lands to accommodate corporate parties and what have you. So you can close off Monsters Land for a few hours to accommodate an event, and then reopen it. Now we're seeing how kind of annoying that is with Toontown closing 2 hours when the rest of the park is open. What are you guys' thoughts? Does this whole Toontown thing sort of change your mind on Epic Universe's approach, where the whole park is designed like that, where you can be in there and just random lands can be shut down for 3 and 4 hours because there's an event? What are your fellows' thoughts on that overall? Does this Toontown thing change your mind on that, if that's a good idea or not? Or
I'll let the whole panel go ahead and go first.
Go ahead.
We'll start with Mr. Wizard there.
Oh, okay, Mr. Wizard. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're the universal guy.
I have a
Wizard.
question, but I'll ask it after this. But just don't let me forget. Okay. Let's see. I don't think it's gonna be that. But I honestly see a close randomly. 1, 2. I don't think they're gonna be closed that often. Like unless they're like at capacity or something. But I don't think they're gonna like be closed as often as someone would think or say. Like just shutting down. If they have and then if there's a corporate event, usually, like even now, you see a sign like way back you see a sign in the beginning of the day, land or park will close early. Even Disneyland did it, right? For the media night said park closing at 8 p.m. today for special event. You'd see a sign. It's like a planned thing, so you'd already expect it if there's a corporate event and a land is shutting down. Superintendent World's closing at 7 today for whatever, and it won't be. I'm sure it won't be a lot, and I definitely won't be random unless it's at capacity. So I think it's actually pretty okay, or not like, no, it's a neutral response, not like yay or like nay, at least.
What are your thoughts, Casual, on this whole like closing off these lands for hours?
Well, I don't like it, but I understand, it's an operational necessity, especially for Toontown. As far as Epic Universe, I have to see what the plan is for how they're going to, operate. I'm assuming that they would be doing these events, in the late evening so that it's not we're going to close from, 5 to 8 and then reopen. I don't think they would be doing that. That seems like it'd be much more of an operational nightmare to do that. So I think it's going to be, it'll close, at 7, and it'll just be the corporate event for the rest of the evening. And like Wizard was saying, they'll have plenty of signage and let everybody know so that you're not, necessarily kneecapped by it. You're just, it's part of the day and you just kind of get it. But I will say, I was one of those people that was shut out of Toontown at night when we went, because when we got our boarding group, we were a party of 4. And when we went to return, they had already closed the land. And when we came back later, we had become a party of 6 and could not get all of us in, not even to just, for the 2 of us who weren't going to be able to ride, to even walk around in the land. So I did not get to see Toontown at night. So
Now, Casual, I must say, I feel bad for you, man, because this is the second time in a boarding group problem.
yeah, I did get to ride it earlier in the day, and I allowed a friend's little girl to be able to ride it. So I was more than happy to, go get some coffee in the meantime.
And she was
Sounds like-
delightful, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes,
that's why it's like, that's part of it. As a Magic Key holder, I will always defer to the people who either haven't gotten to experience something, or this is their one trip every 2 years, those kind of things. I'm always conscious of that. And I've even said on the live streams that people hate the live streamers. It's like, no, I try to do what I can, but we have to remember that there's people that can't make it to the parks, and the live streamers sometimes are a fun way to interact and feel like you're at the park rather than just watching a video, because there's the chat going on. You can ask questions and things like that. So that's why I do the live streaming at the parks. And I'm always conscious, that there could be somebody's first time or possibly their last time at the park. And I always try to make sure that I'm not interfering with that.
Absolutely.
And Casual, you're also not some people that could be quite annoying during their live streams. So that's always
like I said, I try to be low key. I like to have chill live streams.
Yeah.
And Mr. Family Man, what are your thoughts on like the lands closing early? What is it, with Epic Universe and?
I mean, it's sort of kind of like one of my pet peeves. Like I would understand, as far as Toontown goes, why they would, because of the fireworks, but when it comes to like conferences or, closing down for like media things, like while the park is still in operation hours, that I have a little bit of a iffy thing, because actually Walt Disney World just went through that recently. They had and nothing against the cast members, definitely not. And I know that, but they had a cast member kind of gala at the Magic Kingdom where the park closed at 4:30.
Well, that's early. Oh, that day I remember on
Yes.
Twitter it said, and the
Yes.
park was empty all day because
Yes.
it said, I
Now,
didn't know I was closing that early.
yes. Oh, yes. So, just as Casual was saying, I feel for the people that if it was their first time or their last time. So when you have a family that's going to Walt Disney World and they're spending this amount of money for a once in a lifetime trip, or possibly for their very last time, if they have a family member that, God forbid, they have a terminal illness, or someone is in their older age that they can't make it there anymore. And then you're telling these guests, these people, oh, well, you have to leave. We're closing the park at 4:30, where they may not be aware of what's going on. That, to me, I don't think is good service as far as when you have an overall amount of guests coming, as to oppose a smaller group that you're closing down the park for. Now, again, this was for the cast members. I don't blame the cast members. They deserve everything, but I don't think things like that should be during operational hours. Now, when you have something like the Christmas party or the Oogie Boogie, you have certain select dates, and the park is still open relatively later on in the day, where you could then move over to Disneyland Park or vice versa. But when you have it shut down for something that I feel like you could do at a separate time, or that's a little bit of one of my pet peeves.
See, George,
And,
that's
Ray.
why I echo. That's why I'm a fan of what Epic Universe is doing, because George, you bring up a great example with the 4:30 closure. We just had weeks and weeks of closures, early closures for Disneyland for any number of events leading up to the 100th anniversary, where the park closed at 8 or whatever, and now everybody's got to get out. I would much rather have just an area set aside for a corporate event, corporate party, CM party, whatever, TM party, right? Rather than just the whole park's blocked out. You gotta hit the road date. I'm not necessarily a fan of that kind of practice, and for the reasons that you actually say, George. And I think, Wizard, you echo a lot of my sentiments coming into this, which is, if you let people know in advance that an area is going to be closed off at a certain time, and so that people kind of front load that and get that visit out of the way, and then they can experience the rest of the park. If you have a little bit of forewarning there, then a lot of these problems don't become issues, let's say, and you can avoid a lot of headache and hassle. So the kind of corporate events, the parties and so forth, that's going to be with us, folks. There's not going to be a way out of that. So how do you mitigate that from impacting the regular day guests as much as possible? Well, I think the Epic Universe approach is the right approach.
Cool. All right, let's move on to our next topic, which is
a
ahead.
kind of semi-random question, because and casual, I guess you can check tomorrow. So I noticed when I was looking for the Mickey and Minnie thing, Fantasmic's back on tonight, but is that walkway still closed? I feel like it would be very crowded.
No, Adventureland is open now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that pathway has been opened.
I didn't know that.
Cool. Back in business. All right, let's talk about entertainment. Disney 100 Entertainment. This, I'm telling you, this fireworks show, Wondrous Journeys, y'all.
Can I just say, before we move on, I just have like an opening thing for this, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Okay. No, go ahead.
There has been 4 times in my life that I have cried at Disney. And that was my very first time.
I saw one of them.
You did? Yes. My first time at Walt Disney World. My very first time at Disneyland. The third one escapes me, but anyway, I know there was 4. And
unimportant.
Yes, apparently it wasn't that important. I guess
it's gonna be his family walking in or something. Something really funny.
Nothing major. And watching this fireworks show, and normally I get the happy feels but this particular firework gave me the feels where I actually had that lump in my throat, the tears streaming down. Something about this firework just hit me into that core.
What are your thoughts, Dre?
Okay, so we're gonna have to give a shout out here to Eddie Films for this wonderful video that he put together. I'm sure there are going to be many to come around, but this guy's got the best one on YouTube right now, at least at this moment. This fireworks show is really phenomenal, like really good.
Better than Nick Magic?
Just a smidge better. Just a smidge.
Let's see. I got a soundbite for that.
That is one big pile of shit.
There you go. That's the one. This much better actually. And here's the thing about this. Okay, so you see, you hear projection-based fireworks show. We've kind of seen it before, right? So I think Magic Happens was the first of its kind to put on a show like that, especially at that scale. Disneyland Forever kind of broadened it out and expanded it throughout Main Street. But remember, Disneyland Forever, that came out in 2015. It's 8 years ago at this point, right? So a lot of kind of entertainment spectaculars have come and gone ever since the debut of those two shows right there. A lot of interplay between technologies, various water effects, fountains, lasers, projections that you can see a mile high, and we've just seen so many different things incorporated into this. It's like, okay, what can you bring to the table? And here they brought. They brought the heart. They brought the going over 100 years worth of animation and including every single animated film into this kind of, I don't know, theatrical nighttime extravaganza, and not doing it in a way where it feels cluttered, rushed, or whatever. And it just hits all of the notes so perfectly. I keep saying to people, the first 6 minutes of this show is perfect. It's
Perfection.
a perfect show. Without any ands, ifs, or buts. It is perfection. And the latter 6 minutes goes into some of the more modern stuff, and that resonates with an entirely different generation as well. It's got something for everybody. It's the perfect kiss goodnight. It is so referential, but so done in such a beautiful way, as you can probably see here. It is absolutely phenomenal. It is not one to miss.
Well, and the great thing about it is the problem with a lot of these, what they call clip shows, where they just go through movie after movie after movie, is that they just project a scene from the movie onto the castle for 3 or 4 minutes. The thing I love about this show is it weaves all these movies together. So you'll have a song from, say, Princess and the Frog, but the imagery on the castle has 4 or 5 different movies. You'll have Beauty and the Beast and Hercules and Hunchback all woven together. You don't go through very long where you're just focusing on one film. They're all kind of mixed in, and it becomes its own art in a lot of ways. I just absolutely fell in love with the show. Yes, it made me tear up. It was just such a gorgeous love letter to Walt Disney Animation. And really, Disney Animation is the heartbeat, the soul of the whole company. So it really is perfect for the 100th. I absolutely fell in love with this. I honestly think it's my favorite show of that they've ever done, to be quite honest. But Mr. Wizard, what are your thoughts on Wondrous Journeys?
Hype trainers are real.
Oh,
yes, it is.
I loved it. Oh, I loved my favorite fireworks show ever. That's right, ever. Say it with me. Ever.
There we go. So did you like it?
Look at those projections. Oh my goodness. Blown away how clear those things are. And then that song, what the part?
Wondrous.
The little, not that one's good, but the medley part with the Moana and the one, I was like, whoa, that was great. I like that too. That was like chef's kiss music right there.
Casual, Wizard, if you like that, all right, if you like that medley right there, that's an amazement right there. Just kind of modern done with Moana and so forth.
See, I gotta catch that.
you got to see that show because that'll kind of start to make sense for you. But that kind of that harmony is that kind of interwoven harmony right there between those is such great scores from those films.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable. I mean, it just had me like, whoa, this is animation, but in a modern way, and just it was perfect. It was absolute stellar amazement. Sorry, Wizard, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, no, but then just the actual pyrotechnics. I feel like there were so many fireworks I couldn't count how many there were. They just kept going off and off and off and off and off. And it was the best finale I've ever seen. Usually they do the all the ones in a row that are really bright. But this time at the finale, there's like a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, whoa, it's like everywhere, everything all over once. But yeah, and then look, come on, look at those projections. Oh, incredible!
So
I like the show, the animations, and the movies. They did all of them. But then they had Baymax flying over the castle. I'm not even a Baymax fan that much, but I like them flying over the castle like that. The blue fairy, zoo, zoo. Wow, I can watch that show all day. Never let it leave. Never let it leave.
What are your thoughts, Casual, on Wondrous Journey?
All right, I'm going to be the
He hates
rag.
it. Oh, get off this screen.
No, he has some.
I
He has some
really
great
liked
thoughts.
it. I for me, the one I always have to compare everything to is Believe There's Magic in the Stars. That one to me is the perfect fireworks show. And that one, it's the pacing, the orchestrations, the flow, and even the shell choices are matched perfectly to each and every segment.
True.
This one, I love the beginning. The beginning was absolute perfection, like you said, Dre. The opening with the sketch, and then it transitions to the full animation. Just beautiful. And I'm not even big on projections when it's a fireworks show. It's like I want to see the fireworks, but I was loving what they did with the projections on Main Street. I was watching to see what they were doing with it, and there's different points where the buildings take on the style of whatever animated feature they're featuring right then and there. So there was different tones happening on the buildings for whatever was going on, and I love Baymax. That was, it's like such a simple touch again, but when he blasts off, you're just like, oh my God, this is so cool. You feel like a little boy again going,
Yes.
Hooray for the hero. And it was just like, oh man, that's great. I didn't like the medley part when they were all together. I found that to be a little muddled.
Really?
I knew what they were trying for, but it worked better when they would play from one into the other rather than over each other. Because the way it was working for me, I was like, I'm trying to figure out which song are we even in right now.
It's funny. Oh, I'm sorry, Casual. I just wanted to
go ahead.
To that. Actually, who agrees with you of that is actually my wife, because I showed her the recording that I did, and she watched the whole thing, and she loved it. But the overlapping of the songs, that's what kind of lost her in translation, especially with Moana, because that's like her all-time favorite movie, favorite soundtrack. So, I mean, she was like at borderline where this is blasphemy. But I mean,
I wouldn't go that far. It's just when you do stuff like that, it has to be handled very delicately, in my opinion. And I've heard songs where there's that play where they're going over each other, but it was planned to be that way. The songs were written and orchestrated for that purpose. So you get the bouncing back and forth and weaving in and out, but it was done intentionally, and the orchestration, everything flows with it. These are different songs with different tempos, if you will, and all this, and it starts kind of, instead of weaving together, I feel like they were bouncing off each other. There was like this weird scattering of what was going on. And I liked it better when they would have, like Moana sing, and then Hercules picks it up, and then Hunchback comes in, and then Belle comes in. I liked it better when it was doing that than all of them together. I think if they would have tried to figure out a way to, I don't know, it just didn't work when they were all together for me. But other than that, that segment was really strong. Like I said, when you get the playing off of each other rather than into each other, it really does come across, you really get that soaring feeling of, the emotions that each one of those characters is trying to convey. And it really, really builds to something special.
Well said. George, family man, what are your overall, I know we know you cried, but
Yes.
want to elaborate
George,
on your.
I'm
Yes.
gonna have a conversation with you after about spoiling this for your wife there before we actually go ourselves. Come on, George, what are you doing? Hey, family man. No, joking. Go ahead. It's the floor is yours.
So yeah, aside from me tearing up and everything, echo what you guys said. The very beginning of this show, the intro, the stylized animation, how it starts out as a pencil drawing into the actual animation itself with the actual theme song of this show. It's like dives in perfectly. I actually was a fan of the multiple songs at once. I do get your point, Casual, now that you actually say it, where there are some moments where it could be a little bit overdone. But I think I think Drake can agree with me on this. One of my all-time favorite segments of that was Hunchback of Notre Dame's Out There. That was just honestly like Broadway style vocals with a song that is actually very underrated, and it actually was showcased in this. And I'm so glad that it was, because it's actually my favorite song of the Hunchback soundtrack. And so I'm so glad that Disney actually incorporated in that. But another part that I actually found, it was cute and play on words of how they did it, but it actually summed up everything of this whole show, of what it represents. And it's at the very end when they put Winnie the Pooh up, where it's like, oh, could we go back to chapter 1 and start all over again? And it's like, well, Pooh, this is just the turn of the page. And I have a feeling what happens next is going to be wondrous. So I found that it to be a play on words, that it was very cutesy for Winnie the Pooh, but a strong message of what we have gone through the whole first 100 years of the Walt Disney Company, and then moving forward for the next 100.
I love that. I picked up
right
on that
there.
messaging as well, George. I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. Now, there was a lot of Howard Ashman love in this show, and I couldn't help it when I saw Belle on the castle and the beast and Ariel. I was like, man, I just wish Howard was still here. I really do, to enjoy this, because it was so much of his work was featured in here. Go ahead, George.
Oh, no. And really quick. And one other thing that I love that they did with this show, particularly with Aurora of Sleeping Beauty, they actually used the real vocals of the original princess from the movie, Mary. I don't know if it's Costa or Costa. I forget how you pronounce her last name, but she is the vocal and singing voice of Sleeping Beauty. So they didn't get another actress, so to speak, to kind of fill in the gap just to do the princess voice. They actually got the actual voice, the original voice for Aurora for that moment.
Awesome. That is, I did not know that, George. That is, look, Casual, I can see what you're saying about the harmonic melodies there, but to me, if you had a live performance, it wouldn't be perfect either. And that kind of evoked a live performance for me, so that's why I kind of gave it a pass, I believe, at least subconsciously. I do agree with your points. They are good points. I do think, they don't quite line up, but I was able to kind of see, accept it a little bit and just go, I think this does work more than it doesn't.
It may grow on me. I may need to sit with it a few more times. But that beginning, for everything that they missed with Enchantment, they nailed it with this one in honoring Walt and everybody that came before. They did it in such a great way to kind of just build, like I said, it just builds to that wonderful, it's like, this is where we started. Look at how rudimentary, how simple, and how painstaking it was at the time, just to get, a few minutes of animation, and they just perfectly did it and they didn't have to get too schmaltzy about it. That's what was nice. You didn't have to see Walt. You didn't have to hear Walt's voice. And it was just like, this is where we started. Look at where we started. Little circles being drawn. Yeah.
Go into color, and then you hear her voice, and then go into Aurora. It's like, okay, scrape me off the floor.
Oh yeah, and casually, that's a great point. You didn't have to visually see Walt. The way this show is so brilliant that it actually, you feel Walt without showing Walt. I mean, that's something. That is really, really something. I gotta say, they're showing you, they're not telling you. I mean, your feet, it just absolutely.
But I think that through the whole show, I think they really showcased, who. All the people that it took to bring these characters and movies to life. I think it really honored all of them. Like you said, with Howard Ashman, you felt like, oh my gosh, I wish he was here to see it, because it honored him so well. And I think they did that very, very well. Even with that last little tag of Pooh, bringing it back to, the simple things. The whole reason Winnie the Pooh was created was to give it that childlike escape from the pressures and the realities that we deal with day to day. And what a perfect way to end it, with Pooh saying, can we go back and start over? And that wonderful little, it's just to turn the page. We move on from here, and it's going to be great. You have to keep that optimism. I'm getting all misty out
here. We need the Pooh optimism right now, right, fandom? Right. We need that. We've gone through some with this whole thing.
No pun intended there, OG.
right, exactly. We need this optimism. It was just what the doctor ordered. It was just that, like you say, casual, that optimism. Like, you know what? Yeah, this is just the beginning. Cheers to the next 100. It was really, really beautiful. Go ahead, Dre. I'm sorry I cut you off, sir.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You're fine. We have been hearing that there's been some third parties brought in for some of this stuff right here. I think it actually paid off really, really well in this instance. Christopher Lenertz, gotta call this guy out. Yeah, I know, right? He is, from what I understand, the director of this whole thing. Phenomenal job for this guy, and this is why when I hear his name come up again, I'm like, okay, let's do the applause here. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
There we go. No.
And if you're listening, Christopher, we'd love to have you on the show and be able to talk to you and find out, everything about how you developed it.
Yeah, that's interesting, because Wizard might have something on that front, now, don't you?
Oh, I just might. We'll have to see the cards. I'll play right. You may get to see Mr. Lenertz.
Well, casual, we might have to be joining up Wizard on his channel.
Oh, I would love to. I would love it.
And asking some questions, because this is the guy. And hey, apparently he is the guy that's also being tasked with maybe this temporary Hyperion show featuring Hercules.
There we go.
When I see this guy now, it's like, okay, let's see what this guy has to offer.
Right.
This is phenomenal. And like you said, OG, that spirit of optimism, it absolutely is there. I mean, coming out for this show, I was just like, wow, okay, the Disney 100, now it makes sense, right? But yeah, I just had an optimism, a kind of like a let's say a love rebirth that I had been diminished over the years and completely refilled from this show. Just phenomenal. I can't praise it highly enough.
Now, before we move on, go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, there's so much going on internally within the company right now, and more than what we can even count on all sectors and all divisions. But this show represents what it's all about. Why we crave to go to these parks, why we crave to go see these movies. It harkens back to the man himself. And what a beautiful love letter, so to speak, to give back to Walt of what he gave to us for the first 100 years of the company.
1000%, George. Now, I didn't see World of Color 1. Anyone on the panel? Did you guys, any of you check that out?
No.
So we'll have to save that review for another day.
Maybe that for the next couple of weeks from now.
Maybe. I've heard mixed thoughts
Yeah.
I
and
have
feelings.
too.
You know.
Yeah, I have
heard
too.
mixed thoughts.
Yeah, I know.
Come
I
on,
almost would rather watch
Maybe-
Wondrous Journeys again for like the second or third time than see what World of Color one. I know that sounds really bad, but
Well,
don't
I
know,
have to
just love
say,
that
I
stuff.
watched some video clips, and I don't like how they utilize the fountains. They rarely use them at all. They used more of the water screens, and the fountains were more secondary. Now, I don't know if that's exactly how it is, but that's just how it represented to me when I watched the video. And I actually have a friend who works in the entertainment industry, and he actually said this, coming off of the original World of Color, this was the worst rendition of World of Color he had ever seen.
Well, see, that's funny because the Trust Me Bro guy said he loved it. So I don't know. See,
So it's like we
Yeah.
have a loved and we have a complete hate for it. So it's like, where does it?
Might be a
I
love
s-
or hate thing.
I saw it on YouTube. I didn't hate it. It's definitely, in my opinion, just my humble opinion. I mean, based on what I saw online, it's not the worst version of World of Color. There's some holiday versions in there that I think were worse, but it's definitely not Wondrous Journeys. I'll tell you that much. It's definitely not Wondrous Journeys. You know, that's a whole other.
Look, anything with some Marvel in there, I automatically love at least 50%. So I can see that segment. But also from clips I've seen, I like how they utilize the Incredicoaster and the Fun Wheel more. It seems like included more. They utilize that backdrop more than in previous version. And I'm like, yes, that's what I've been asking, because it's a whole backdrop you can utilize in your show. And it seems like from at least the Star Wars and the Marvel one, they utilize that a lot more, which is pretty cool. So
That's cool.
bonus points for that.
That's good.
Now our last segment is called Miscellaneous. So, is there anything?
I'm sorry, OG. This is Disney. We have to change it to Mousecellaneous.
Oh, there you go. I like that, George. I like that. There we go. Mousecellaneous. So, Vashkai, any Mousecellaneous musings, opinions, perspectives about the Disney 100? Anything kind of that we didn't kind of touch upon yet that you kind of want to bring up now?
Mousecellaneous. Okay, I think I got it. So I was wanting to bring this up. I didn't know if we were going to do this on this show, the next show. But given that we have some time, I wanted to go ahead and bring this to your attention right here, because I kind of had a lot of these same feelings myself. So this comes from Dusty from oops, not that. Let me mute that one real fast. Whoops. This comes to us from Dusty, who runs My Chat, of course. And let's see.
Oh, that's a nice picture, George.
All right. So with this, he highlighted something that was very interesting, because every single time I go to the park now, I kind of like evaluate what's morale like, what's maintenance like, what's operationally, how's this going, how's that going. And honestly, the reason I've been doing that is because, well, it's been deficient in a lot of areas, as I've noted on previous trip reports. But in this one, it seemed a little bit different. It just seemed that the cast members they had a little bit more pep in their step. There was a little bit more optimism. There was a little bit more maintenance. And apparently Dusty had the same kind of feeling. And I wanted to go ahead and play what he said about it real fast. It's relatively short, maybe about 2 minutes. But I think he kind of distillates this down very, very well, and also provides some maybe reasons.
All feels a little more magical right now. I do sense that there's some improvement in the spirit of cast members and the happiness of guests, but they still have problems with things.
Do you think that this is because of Bob Iger's return to the company?
Totally Bob Iger's return. So I talked to so many people over the last couple of days, and on the record and off the record, about all sorts of things. And one of the things that we discussed over and over again really was just how tight the budgets were under Bob Chapek, and they had to make decisions. And that stressed a lot of people out. A lot of people left the company not just because they were fired or forced to move to Florida, but also because they just didn't like the direction that the parks were going or how stressful it was to work here. But that seems to be changing. Now, their budgets are still very tight, but they sense that that's going to be changing soon. They're being asked to pitch projects that they haven't been asked to pitch in a long time. And it seems that Bob really wants to focus on satisfaction of the guests. So where they were looking at solely numbers before, how much money was each guest spending, they're now looking at different things. How satisfied are guests? How many rides are they able to ride? How happy are they when they leave the park for the day? How likely are they to recommend Disneyland to a friend? And those are all the kinds of things that you would be asking if you cared about guest satisfaction, but they haven't been asking for a couple of years now, and that they're asking again. So I sense that we are going to see a change, that it's going to take time. It's going to be a slow progression, but I definitely heard and felt that people understood that there's a problem, that guests are noticing the decline of Disneyland, that the prices have gone up, but the value for the price did not go up, and they want to address that. And so many people saying over and over again about happiness, guest satisfaction, not just for guests, but also for cast members. And that was a big deal. In fact, both of the events that we went to for the nighttime spectaculars, the one for World of Color and the one for fireworks, were really cast member previews that they allowed the media to also be there. And they had the cast members sit up front, and they had the media stand in the back. So they gave the best spots to the cast members. And some media were grumbling about that. I thought it was amazing. They were telling the cast members, feel free to share photos and videos and post about this, and please use the hashtag CastLife. Now, why would they be telling them to do that? Because they want the friends of these cast members to see these cool things that they're doing, hashtag CastLife, right? In the hopes that they will also want to get jobs at Disneyland, because they're having trouble finding enough cast members still. So it's definitely a tough labor environment.
So that's very interesting right there, right? So I kind of wanted to throw that out in the chat and kind of see how you guys felt about that, because I could feel it while I was there.
So could I.
Now we have other kind of accounts saying, it does kind of feel a little bit different. And this kind of 100th anniversary felt almost like a rebirth in that way, even though it was largely a Chapek era thing. But please, guys, contribute.
You hit the yes, absolutely, and we talked about this. I think it was like maybe the day or the day after, Dre, on the phone. That's becoming kind of like a thing now, on the phone with Dre. But
it could be a little podcast on the phone.
Right. But like
on the phone with Dre.
There we go. But Dre and I, we talked about this the days following Bob Iger's return, right? And we discussed how really like this is going to change morale overnight, right? Because look, people, the cast members, the talent in Hollywood, they like Bob Iger. I know there's Bob Iger haters out there. They don't like him. The guy, though, within Disney is well liked, much more than Bob Chapek was. And the minute he came back, the whole thing changed. And you can feel it in the parks. It's palpable. The cast members seem happier. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, when Chapek was there, and I again, on the phone with Ray, we would talk about how the cast member customer service was really iffy. There were kind of like a lot of energy of like, I don't want to be there and I'm not happy. And these last few times at the park, you can really sense that overall change in the cast members' attitudes. It's way more positive than before. Now, we did have one negative interaction with the cast member, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But George, what are your overall thoughts? Has Bob Iger been his return? Has it improved morale within Disney and the parks? Or
I do. I really do believe so. I think despite of how anyone would have a personal feel, with Bob, with his politics or just him as a person or how he runs the company as CEO, it definitely shows the morale with the cast members, the morale of the overall feeling in the park. It definitely was a jump starter, so to speak. It almost like where the pulse started to kind of, you start to see that lifeline starting to move a little, because for a period of time, it was pretty much flatlined. And, you know, again, even to Chapek, you know, whether you like him, you dislike him, we needed him there at a certain point of time to go through a point of time. So I think, you know, everything, I'm a big believer, everything happens for a reason. You know, Chapek had to be there for a certain point of time. Iger coming back after a certain point of time, you know, whether or not you agree with it or not, but all I care about is at the end of the day, the company succeeds. Whatever works for the company to keep it moving. It's like a well-oiled machine. As long as it keeps on going, you're going to hit those bumps in the road. Obviously, anything will, but as long as you fix those issues, and that's what we do on this channel, is anytime that we discuss anything, it is never to bash. It doesn't come from a place of hate. It is to bring out the facts of what is going on. So, and you had touched upon this, OG, with the Universal video you just released. It is to bring it out so they can be notified and fix the issues.
Yes.
Point blank.
It's constructive criticism. It's not hating on it just to hate on it. It's constructive, you know. And we love the Walt Disney Company. You know, all of us here, we've been lifelong fans of this amazing thing that Walt Disney started. And all we want is for this company to do better, create better products. And the best way to do that is to use your voice, you know, use your voice constructively. So, but Casual, what are your thoughts? Have you now you took a little bit of a break from the parks for a while, and you've come back, but have you noticed the energy at the park since you've been back? Or
well, let's put it this way: for several years, we had gotten rid of our annual passes. We had gone, I think, a total of 4 times since 2012 up until we got our passes, 4 or 5 times maybe. And
I'm sorry, since 2012?
Yeah.
10 years.
20?
Yeah, we were going, like, I think after 2012, the first time we went back was 2015 once, went back again 2017, and then just in recent post-Pandy, we've gone a few times. And personally, I was just like, you know, I'm not really digging what the company's doing. The stuff is not entertaining me. It doesn't, you know, have me looking forward to it. So I was basically kind of checked out. We were, you know, used to spend thousands of dollars every year on Disney, and we had dropped it to near zero.
Wow.
Recently, I am actually excited to be going to the parks. You know, I look forward to it. I'm excited where we're going. I was telling you guys beforehand that we're actually looking to upgrade our passes potentially this coming year. So even, you know, my wife, who was also in a mode of, you know what, they're just not doing anything that interests me now. I'm not too thrilled with it. She was the one who approached and said, you know, maybe next year we need to look at possibly, you know, upgrading at least one of the passes, or then talking about, okay, well, this, and we're now looking at upgrading all of our passes. So whatever they're doing, it seems to be trending in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. Whether it stays that way, I don't know, but at the moment, I'm excited to be going to the parks. I like what's happening, and I'm looking forward to the future.
No, 100%. Mr. Wizard, what are your thoughts? You've been going to the parks pretty regularly. You went a bunch of times during Chapek era. You've gone a bunch of times now. Do you notice the cast member energy has changed, or not so much?
Funnily enough, I'm maybe not paying attention, but it seems the same, but not in a bad way. During the Chapek time, they're all pretty nice and seem pretty happy to me, at least the ones I was like paying attention to, except for one person at Space Mountain who was very rude to me. But then this time, I mean, they all seemed the same. Maybe again, I don't like pay too much attention, so you know, they could have probably got happier, but they didn't seem too stressed out the last few times I went, and this time, again, besides, you know, Oscar, he was great. He was the best cast member I've seen in like 10 years.
Oscar don't say her name. Don't say her name, because that's. But Oscar from Cafe Orleans was A+.
I do have to say, I went to Cafe Orleans the day after, and we got to see Oscar again. He wasn't our waiter, but however, he does know who we are, now as a whole, and he says anytime that we go to Cafe Orleans, please request for him. So we have our now own personal cast member server at Cafe Orleans.
Oscar was absolutely awesome. We all got on our phones immediately, gave him a cast compliment. Amazing service from him. Like, honestly, I'm gonna go. Hey, George, I'm going balls to the wall right now. Hold on. I'm going.
Here we go.
Woo!
Yeah.
I'm going balls to the wall right now, and I'm gonna honestly say that as phenomenal as the Disney Cruise customer service was, Oscar, in my opinion, was on that level. Yes, I think he. Would you agree, George?
Oh, I absolutely agree. Honestly, if I was to just see him as a cast member, don't put him in a backdrop, I would literally thought that he was a Disney Cruise Line cast member,
right?
And that he knew how to take a not so good situation and know how to flip it really fast, and he did it. He did it perfect.
Should we get into the?
Yes, let's shall.
We shall. Now, Ethan, we're gonna get into this, but don't, because it's a negative thing. Don't bring up her name. I don't want her to. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're not gonna bring up her name, but we're gonna talk about it though. Go ahead, Dre. Set the table, and then we'll go from there.
Now, Dre, when you start this, start from the day before.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds pretty good there. Okay.
Wait, actually, you know what? Give me 1 sec, guys. Before we talk about it, just give me one moment. One moment. I do have something that I want to actually put up on the screen. Give me 1 sec. I should have had this ready. Oh no.
While OG's getting that, I just have to put out a little disclaimer to our listeners, our viewers, and to Disney itself. Of what you are about to hear, again, this is not to bash anybody in a hurtful, hateful manner. This is something that really needs to be mentioned so that you can go through your management process on training the cast members of how to handle certain situations, because of 2 incidences that we had at the same place with 2 different cast members. I'm sorry, it is completely...
There you go.
It is completely they have to be accountable for. So again, of what we're about to discuss, it is because of issues that need to be fixed. That is
absolutely. Go ahead, Dre.
So we were there on January 26th at in the park. We had secured some reservations for Cafe Orleans on a couple of occasions, but this was the first. And we had reservations at 3:30. Come in, and first off, they took out the steak frites off the menu. Come on, man, how are you gonna do that to me? That was like the best thing ever. So already kind of like, okay, all right, well, let's bring it out here. And so we start ordering what we're going to order. We order some entrees. I believe Rudio was with us, who, hey, good friend of the channel right there. It was wonderful that he could actually join us for that occasion, but he wanted to try the palm frites, which now they don't actually offer separately. So he had to actually order an entire entree in which to do that. George, he gets, an entree himself, dessert as well, drinks, everything going around, and we're all kind of thinking, well, we're going to be paying for ourselves, so let's just kind of get what we're going to get here. We're here. And then dinner is adjourned, right? And it's like, okay, bring out the checks, and we just say, hey, we'd like to go ahead and split this up, just kind of pay for what we actually ordered. And they're like, the lady there was like, ooh, you know what? We can only do 2 checks. Can't do 3. Just can't quite do it. And it's like, ooh, well, that's going to be an issue. We're, all guys that have cards. We have no cash. We can't exchange, any of this stuff going back and forth. So we have the lady come back and forth a couple of times. And eventually we kind of break down and say, okay, look, listen. If we can break down what we actually, contributed towards this check and just pay that amount on our various cards, and we'll just write down the card numbers and we'll write down the amounts that you actually charge. Can you do that? And she's like, oh, yeah, I can go ahead and do that. Again, this back and forth here, it took like 30 minutes to get to this point. And here I'm doing math on what everybody ordered, what everybody did. And it was just this huge hassle. Then when everything comes back, I think Rudio's card was declined because she didn't run it correctly. So we had to deal with that whole issue. And it was a stink on the entire night. And by the way, 3 checks eventually came out anyway. So this was just a horrible way to start out the vacation, which is, that was our first day right there. But 2 days later,
we thought that was a fluke. We thought,
that was a
okay,
fluke.
It was, it happens.
And
it was
casual.
bizarre, but
casual. We had a wonderful meal at Lamplight Lounge. We had no issues whatsoever when it came to actually the bills between us, and we just had a lovely time with amazing food and no issues whatsoever. So, George and I, that's kind of like what we were saying, and maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it was just whatever. This isn't necessarily a resort-wide problem. But then we go back the next day with a large group, including Orange Grove 55 himself, the amazing theme park wizard, Disney Family Man 23, our friend Minnie, and I believe maybe some others as well. I don't know. We were all there. And it's like, okay, I started off saying, hey, just so you know, we're going to split this up here. Right, I'm gonna, I'm going to, maybe take on this person's bill, but that's it. We're all gonna be paying for ourselves. And then this cast member says, "Ooh, that's gonna be an issue. I can do 1 check, fine. 2 checks, good. 3 checks, ooh, that gets kind of tough. That gets kind of inconvenient."
4 was impossible. He said because we wanted 4, and she said 4 is impossible.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. 4 is just impossible. Can't do it. That's just an issue. So now we're back in the same kind of hustle and bustle before we even get our food, by the way. So, Mindy's telling me, well, okay, you can go ahead and get me here. I got your cash here. And we're exchanging hands. And then,
now by this time, folks,
my goodness gracious.
Can one of you, OG or Drake, could you, without the sound, obviously, can you bring up Hades, like when he is like going from blue to red?
Okay, let's see here.
George, I wish I could have taken a picture of your face, George, because I was trying to.
Yeah.
He was like George like this.
Oh, he was so mad. I've never seen George that mad.
Like I thought you were about to have laser eyes and
I was completely livid that we were being told that it is too difficult and going out of her way to split the checks.
Gosh. Man, George,
but it was, and everyone, and I guess I don't have but yeah, see, that was me.
Yeah,
exactly.
I saw almost every emotion from you, George. I saw you cry, I saw you happy, I saw you mad.
You did, yeah. You got all 4. You got all 4 emotions from the Family Man on that trip.
Oh, George was not having it. He was so upset, so outraged. And, by the way, we were hungry. We omitted breakfast.
Oh, we did. Right?
So it's 3:30. We're all kind of like, whoa, we gotta get something to eat. And George, that's all he was talking about for 2 hours leading up to it. So I knew he was hungry. And what did you say, George?
No, I said out of protest, I am only getting the gumbo.
Only got 2.
You got 2.
Two. I got 2 gumbos, and I thought, because I was going to get a Monte Cristo with it, and I was just so into that moment because this happened twice in the same trip at the same restaurant.
Oh,
and it was, man.
And here's the thing, right? It's not that the issue that I had with the whole situation was that it's not that she acknowledged it's more difficult for them to do the splitting of 4 checks. The problem I had is that the way she presented the information, it was like, you know what? It's really complicated for me to do this. So sorry, you're going to have to figure it out. Now, all she had to really do is what Oscar did when Oscar came over is say, look, 4 checks gets a little dicey, but you know what? You're the guest. I'll handle it. You guys don't worry about it. I'll make it happen.
Now, also, Oh, I
ahead.
was saying, yeah, but the cast member, she said there's a policy that she couldn't do it. Remember, she's like, there's a policy we can't do it. Then Oscar was like, there's no policy. What are you talking about? And he said
Yeah.
the computer doesn't handle more than 3 well, but it's okay. I can figure it out, and he did.
And he did. I mean, really, Oscar was the MVP of that whole situation. He really was.
And we did have a couple of leads talk to us afterwards and wanted to get our stories and so forth. So they were looking to rectify the situation,
And they did.
not just ours, but
Yeah.
yeah.
They made good on it. They gave us a pass for pirates.
Yes.
I mean, they were very, very accommodating. They made good on it. They absolutely did.
Absolutely. Now, Casual, have you, your recent experience at the parks, have you ever experienced anything like this? Was that the way to go about it? I mean, what are your feelings?
Yeah, no. I mean, I haven't dealt with something like that. I would think that's a fluke. But if you had a nickel for every time it happened, you'd have 2 nickels.
Exactly. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I'm sitting in it's like the worst deja vu ever. Or just sitting in the same place doing the same thing, and now with a whole new entire.
Yeah, I think the worst I've dealt with recently was at the mint julep bar. For whatever reason, you could not, a plain mint julep could not be ordered from mobile. So we had to wait in the line. So we wait in the line, and of course, the guy in front of us, his card's not swiping or it's not processing or whatever. And we're standing there and I'm just like, how long is this going to take? I mean, it was literally probably like 10 minutes of them trying to figure this out. And I don't think it was the guy's fault. It was like just the system went down. But then, when we got there, the cast member was very apologetic. And, I hope this doesn't ruin your time. You guys weren't headed anywhere, really just kind of talkative and, understanding what a guest goes through. And when I told her that, well, it's just kind of weird because we wanted a mobile order, but it wasn't, the mint julep wasn't available on the mobile. And she said, what? And so she called her lead and said, we need to find out why this is doing that.
Wow.
So, they were already trying to rectify that issue right then and there. So like I said, it seems really odd to me that you would, happen twice. Like I said,
twice.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, I do want to say, fellas, since we're having tea time, let's dive. let's dive into Diz Twitter, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but in all seriousness, though, aside from that one cast member, the rest of the day and even the other cast members at that restaurant, Cafe Orleans, were absolutely phenomenal. I think I did about maybe 4 or 5 cast compliments on the app. I mean, there were so many great CMs. I was really, really impressed. Yeah, we had one bad I was only there one day, but that one day that I was there, I had that one bad experience with that one cast member, but everybody else was really, really phenomenal.
Oh, and a shout out to the cast member in the World of Disney store. I forgot his name. I don't know if they do this all the time they're kind of standing on board. But I went to buy my Magic Band on my way to see you guys at the Trader Sam's, and the guy he helped me with the mobile checkout thing, because I never did it before. And then he said, "Oh, here, let me take that." And he opened it and he set it up for me. I'm like, "Thanks." I didn't have to do anything. I was like, and there's like 5 of them, 5 cast members standing in a circle. And they're all trying to help me, but it's a Magic Band. You only need really one, but they're all very helpful. I was like, "Good job, guys! You guys are so nice." And then
look at that. Wizard has 5 CMs ready to help him.
I know. Right?
You're like a celebrity, Wizard.
And then there's another one. Because at that point, my legs were so tired. I was walking like 28,000 steps. I was moseying my way out of the store, and there's some customer restocking the shelves, and he goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm just really tired." Then we got this whole conversation about movies, and then we left her action because she could have just stocked her little shelves, but no, she was like, we were talking about movies while she was stocking her plushies. It was nice.
Great.
I liked it. I don't know his name, but.
And then there was the cast member, and for the life of me, I cannot remember his name, at Trader Sam's.
Oh, yes.
But the guy up at the front, the one that does the
what a trooper.
I swear, he was from beginning to
You know
end.
what? It was Steven, wasn't it?
Steven, yes. Steven at Trader Sam's. I tell you what, brother, you are
Shout out to Steven.
a cast member is, because literally from the time of we were trying to get a reservation into Trader Sam's, he literally walked us through the process. He went way beyond trying to get us in. What impeccable service that Steven was at Trader Sam's. So I had to give a shout out to him.
Absolutely. He was another fantastic cast member experience, another cast compliment that we made that day. I mean, there were a lot of great CMs, but does anyone else have any Mousecellaneous items in regards to 100th? Anything on your mind before we close it out today?
I got a couple of things.
I have one thing.
Go ahead, Wizard, and then we'll go to Dre.
And this is a thing for not just Disney, but also Universal, and basically every theme park on the planet. Goodness, the security thing. I would love to, like, at Knott's Berry Farm, they have it, and Magic Mountain. You can't let Magic Mountain beat you to something. That's crazy. But Disney, Universal West Coast, Disney World has it. Universal Orlando has it. You just walk through, and it's a 3D thing, and it just sees if you have anything dangerous on you. You don't have to take everything out, put it in a little thing, go through the metal detector, have it beep when you have some little metal on you. I'm begging for Disneyland and Universal Studios Hollywood, really the only two theme parks on this either coast that don't have this already, to just put it in. Put it in, please.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And this is coming from someone who has a back. I have a back. George,
backpack.
Right, I got a backpack that has like 7 zippers on it. So these security checks are a big pain in the butt. I would love to just be able to walk through and they can just scan my whole body. That'd be fantastic. That'd be great. Come on, Disney.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to ask you guys. What do you guys thought on the security check? Do you think it'd be improved a little bit?
Look, I mean, well, it came out of a time when it was Disneyland Resort was never built for it, right? So it kind of had to be put in place. I remember when there used to be security checks between the parks, so every single time you park up, you had to go. Oh, that was terrible. So they established the bubble, and then it increases and so forth. But now I think we're at a point here where technology is getting very, very good. We can use AI to assist in these kind of things, and really, honestly, previously they used to tell the cast members at the ticket takers at the front desk. I mean, it's like you are the first impression for the park. Well, now security is, and so security has had to kind of take on that role. What better first impression do you get than actually walking through the gates and walking through, whatever technological system that they actually have and not be interrupted? I mean, that would be just the best. So yes,
and especially when the place 5 miles north of you has it. Oh my God. Casual knows he's there all the time.
Yeah.
So, Casual, what's your experience? I haven't been to Knott's since I was a wee little OG. What's your experience? What's your experience? Because you're at Knott's quite a bit. Like, what's the experience over there?
Knott's, you walk through and they just make sure you're single file, so you go one at a time, and they just process you through. And if there's nothing that gives them an alert, you just keep going. And I have my backpack with me. Occasionally they'll just say, "Oh, you need to go this way," and they'll inspect the bag. But it doesn't happen to everybody, and so there's so many people that just keep moving right through.
2 seconds, right? 2 seconds it takes.
Yeah, Disney, I've got to open my backpack, and it's got 2 zippers, and then I've got, sometimes I've got my gimbal, got to open that, then I got the microphone case, got to open that, and then, if my wife's with me, she's got her. Yeah, exactly. A friend of mine got turned away because he had a gimbal that, they said, "Oh, no, that's too much like a selfie stick." Yeah. And so they made him go back, and I'm like, I know streamers that carry that exact same gimbal. Right. It's like, what's going on? And and then he had metal buttons on a jacket or something that were setting it off, and they were, is that all you have? What about this and what about it? And it's like, do we really need to go through all of this? And like you were saying, it just leaves a bad impression the first time. When you get there, it can ruin the entire day from that point, because you're already in a bad mood and come up against somebody else, and it just it could just compound from there.
It requires less infrastructure. You don't need those big conveyor belts. You don't need the metal detectors. You just need, it's just 2 scanners. You walk through it, and then there's this big infrared thing. It should be less money in the long run.
Probably less labor for sure.
Yeah, and less labor. Sure. Come on.
You know, I was cool with it until they did the cavity check. That's where I'm like, whoa, guys.
There we go.
That wasn't security, OG.
Oh, damn.
I'm not sure what happened there. But
Oh no, you got a lawsuit.
I think you may have wandered down south a little bit in Anaheim, and
I'm just gonna stop there.
No, that's taking the rescuers down under.
Now, Dre, you said you had two more items on the menu.
Two more items, real fast.
Take it away, sir.
One, I think the other best portion of the Disney 100 is going to be the songs that they have now they're now playing in the Esplanade. Very, very cool to have a throwback to all these just great moments in Disney theme park history, whether it be Disneyland or not. A lot of Epcot stuff in here. This was really, really cool for them to do. Tangaroa Joel, I believe, is who provides this list, and this is absolutely this is phenomenal. I will say, a little low on the audio.
It's a little low.
Up it up just a little bit. We need like 6 dB. Come on,
especially the Epcot stuff. Crank that up,
crank
man.
it up. Man. Let's go.
I'm just trying to jam to my California screaming music.
Great.
That was very, very cool. So I think this is also, outside of the fountains, outside of the monorail wrap, I think this is also one of my favorite things that they've added as part of the 100th anniversary. So I will go ahead and shout that out. But I wanted to go ahead and shout out all the people that we actually ended up meeting this time. So I'll go through it real fast, guys. Here we go. All right, here we go. George, this is Baby Man 23. He is with us right now. OG from Orange Grove 55. Ethan from Theme Park Wizard with his friend Camille. That was very, very nice. Theme Park Casual right here with us on Nathan. Thank you so much for actually joining us that day. And trust me, we plan to have some many adventures together. Bob Ricard with his with Ariel. That was so cool to actually have them in the park. Rudio, Shelton, Mindy, Marty Snyder, Sean from Rankin the Mouse, his wife, Karik King Daka, Alicia with her boyfriend who was cool, generous enough to actually take us home that one day from a long day in the park. So thank you. Thank you from that. Sarah, Ian, Andrea, we did actually see Best Life and Beyond, Dylan from Theme Park Obsession, Becca from Mouse Info with her husband Joey, which was super cool to see, Mondo from Five Fires, Danny from Five Fires, Chris from Provost Park Pass. That was so cool to actually see him on more than one occasion.
Mickey's with him.
That's for sure. Molly, formerly from All Ears, that was very, very cool to actually be with her and stand, see the fireworks with her. That was a blast. Ordinary Adventures, Peter and Kitcher, you got to have them, right? Magic Journeys, Justin Scar, Tom Corliss from WDW News Today, and we actually got to see Kim Potrock as well. So I just wanted to go ahead and thank all of you for one of the best weekends that I've ever had in my life for anything. So thank you very much, guys. It was a blast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bring up Winnie the Pooh and have him talk about going from chapter 1.
Yeah. I would have loved to have done that, Ethan, but the copyright guys.
But speaking of that, we seem to be having the 100 is going to be kind of a moving rollout in that Magic Happens parade is coming back, and then Tron will be opening in Disney World. How do you guys feel about the 100 kind of being extended rather than, having the big, throw everything at everybody all at one, have that one flashpoint of a day?
I like it.
I'm fine with it as long as the execution is done well, opposite of what they did for Walt Disney World's 50th. Like if they could take Walt Disney World's 50th and do the complete opposite for the Walt Disney Company's 100th, I'm all for it.
Yeah. It kind of spreads it out and gives you a reason to come back, especially at Disneyland, which is such a locals-driven park, in which you want that repeat visitation. Kind of keeps people coming back, keeps the product fresh. But yeah, Magic Happens, Hercules.
There was one more thing that I guess could have been back this year Bald Man didn't cut the budget for it. I was so
Nope.
sad.
Nope.
And I would have made it so close to the 60th anniversary for me. I would have loved it. But alas, maybe in the future.
What is that? What did Ball Man Bad cut?
Bald Man cut me singing "When Can We Do This Again?"
Yep.
This
night.
year.
Almost made it.
But,
Not quite.
but now here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. In defense of Bald Man Bad, Wondrous Journeys was all Bald Man Bad. That was on his watch.
Yeah, no, the rest of it was great. I just
Understand.
wish he would have.
Yeah.
Unless,
Yeah.
you know, I
No.
would have taken a delay and magic happened. I get it was 2 weeks, but no, I miss my paint tonight.
Oh, I would trade Paint the Night for Magic Happens in a New York minute. In a New York minute. Okay, you have no idea. You have no idea. So, any final thoughts before we close it out, fellas?
I actually do. But before I do, Dre, could you I sent you a text, brother, if you could just give me a yay or a nay.
It's
Okay,
a
give me a
yay.
second.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a
we
balls
go.
to the walls, yay.
Here we go.
Chase could be. Oh God, no.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's a nay. It's a nay. Aw.
Yeah, you know
More
what?
so,
You
more
can.
so, it's more so the representation of everything.
Yeah.
But as I said, I cleaned it up. I'm
Now,
not going
of
to
course,
mention,
okay.
Don't
okay.
get too
Yeah.
woke now. You said
So-
You could,
representation.
Okay, so this is
I hate
something
God.
that kind of caps off this video, but everything of what I felt, me personally, this weekend was all about. And Mr. Vash Sky, our brother, friend of the channel, sent a very deep, heartfelt message to OG and I when the weekend was up. And I would like to share what he had shared with us, because I feel his wording is what the company is all about, what this channel is about, what this community is about. And before I read it, I do have to say I was already sitting in a plane. He had just arrived home. I'm on a plane going back, sitting in a middle seat, sitting next to two complete strangers. And if there was I bawled. I literally, I bawled. The woman sitting next to me grabbed onto my shoulder and said, "Are you okay?" And I said,
You seem
"I'm
to have gone
perfectly
bald
fine."
to the wall.
And I have to keep that one. I have to keep that.
That's good.
That I said, my brother just wrote something to me that was just very heartfelt and touching. So I'm going to read this to everyone now. So this is what Mr. Vasky wrote to us. Through a combination of my brothers and the incredible friends we made along the way, this extended OG 55 community we've built, this was the greatest and most magical single event in my entire life, bar none, and it's not even close. Sharing this weekend with you guys was a dream come true, an amazing once-in-a-lifetime event where all of the people we've touched throughout the years came together in the most beautiful way possible at the one place we all have in common, which is celebrating a century's worth of one man's dream, for which without, none of us could have occurred. When OG contacted me to be on the channel, the parks were closed and the world had broken itself. This weekend, we saw more friends than we could even count, many now family of the park celebrating huge openings and anniversaries, and all with two of the most important people in my life, my brothers by my side. Thank you for originally asking me to be part of your world, OG, and thank you for wanting to be part of mine, George. Never lose sight of one thing, that this whole weekend was all started by one person accepting one invitation, which blossomed into an incredible, wondrous journey for dozens of people wanting to share it with us. I guess one could say we are the magic. Thank you so much again, brothers, for everything. You made so many dreams, including my own, a dream come true.
Oh, where's Winnie the Pooh when you need him?
I had to share that
Beautiful.
with everybody because the wording of what you expressed, Mr. Vasky, to us, that was something beyond of why we do what we do, of why this channel is succeeding with all the people that we have met over the weekend and the many more to come. And for you to be a part of it, for me to be a part of it, for something that OG created straight out of his bedroom. And now it's like, here we are now. And you put it finally, sir. And I just have to say thank you for that.
Yes. Thank you, Dre. That was a beautiful, I read this text. I didn't even know how to respond to it. I mean, I was speechless, absolutely gorgeous. And and Dre's right. You know, it's about the friendships, the family that we've made along the way, right? It's hey, look, there's one man born in 1901 who did this thing, and it brought us all together. None of us would be here today together. This family that we have would not be here together if not for that one man born over 100 and something years ago, 122 years ago. And now here we all are with a shared common love for this thing that we, this park that we love. And it really is beautiful. I love you guys. You are my family. Amazing, Dre. Just thank you so much for that. I mean, beautifully said, beautifully said.
It's from the heart, It's just, I think I was on the plane myself, and I was just, well, let me see if I can get this started, and thought about it, and worked on it, and sent it out the following morning while I was sick as a dog. I was not doing very well at all, but I was like, I have to get these thoughts out here. I have to tell the people who mean so much to me and made that trip as magical as it was. I had to relay that information to them. So, brothers, Casual, Ethan, now my extended family, now my new brothers. Thank you so much for delivering one of the greatest weekends ever. That was awesome.
Absolutely. And it all started with Ethan, right?
It was Ethan pushing. It was like, you got to come out. I was like, all right, fine.
A true wizard. On my own channel, I told George he has to come out and made everybody watch and listen. And then
it was that pressure. It was that pressure. He waited till we went live.
Yes, wizard.
It was all started by a wizard.
The other guys live here, so those are easy. But wow, see, the wizard has mastery.
Yes, and Ethan, you almost like when
and
Ethan,
I got them to get universal passes. What a
yes,
shock.
he did. Yes, he did. We have universal passes. But I got to give a big shout out to Ethan though. He actually ended up picking me up that day when we went to Disneyland, and I got in the car, right? And it was like a breezy 85 degrees in the car. Super cozy. I love it. I love heat. And he was playing hip hop. I'm like, Ethan, it's like this is like tailor-made experience, man. I love this. You're already got me in a great mood.
Meanwhile, it's 40 degrees outside.
Yes.
Yeah, trust me, I know. When we got to George's hotel at 7:12 a.m. and it was freezing, and we had to walk 30 minutes. I knew it was cold.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Well, fellas, this was a fantastic conversation. Really, really amazing stuff. I just want to thank you all for the show today, but more importantly, just being family. I love you guys. Absolutely love you guys.
Every single one of
absolutely
person on here. I love
dearly. And before closing out, everyone who is watching, just to let you know, you are extended part of our family as well. And to commemorate the 100 years, I will be sending out, whoever would want one, please comment down below, DM us, your personal information, that you will be getting a personalized from the OG 55 crew postcard of one of these characters right here. So definitely, if you would like one, DM either one of us. We'll get your information and we'll definitely send one out to you.
And actually, if you don't have Twitter and you can't DM, you can email me.
Oh, look at that.
OrangeGrove55 at gmail.com. So if you don't have Twitter, you can't DM, you can email me on it, at that email if you want a card. So,
but you also have to give this video 100 likes to celebrate the 100th anniversary. Also,
Yes.
you give Theme Park Wizard 100 new subs to celebrate the anniversary as well. So,
Ethan, always in hustle mode. I love it.
Man, I love it. I love it. There you
There
go.
it is. There it is. All right. Well, thank you all for coming on, and thank you all for watching. Comment down below with all your thoughts on Disney's 100th anniversary celebration at Disneyland Resort. Pretty awesome stuff. What are your opinions on everything from the decor, the overall vibe, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, fake grass, right? That's the biggest thing of all this is the fake grass. Just everything on your mind. Disney 100. Comment down below. We would love to hear from you.
World of Color, because none of us saw it. So let us know.
Exactly. Let us know how that was, because none of us here saw it. Wondrous Journeys, just everything. Comment down below. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for supporting OG55. Oh, actually, I'm closing it out. I didn't. Hold on. I got to back up a little bit. Hold on. Vash, go ahead and let everyone know where they can find you on social media. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Oh, well, they know where to find me. It's going to be right there at Vash Sky. Best place to find me. Pop that in, should pop up. And if you guys want to see me, well, it's going to be on the channel you're watching right now at Orange Grove 55. We have great shows on there, including Citrus Corner, Story Geeks with Jay, I believe. That's okay. Yes, I got that right. Hopefully. The original Orange Grove 55, the original flavor, of course, and my own, freshly squeezed, your source for juice, news, and info, squeezed fresh right from the Grove. There you go.
Perfect. And real quick, before I move on to Ethan, you want to do a little Wastelands McCarthy for the Tron vehicles? Because I think that...
Oh, come on, you're gonna kill me. Yes, we were just talking about that today. For Christine's Wastelands McCarthy, for all the
robust
discussion right there, you can go ahead and find me on the Vash Sky right there. But I will say those ride vehicles pretty tight. Well, we will be talking about those in an upcoming episode. So don't forget to comment and subscribe.
Absolutely. Mr. Wizard, if you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media and where they can find your merch store.
That's right. You can find me at Theme Park Wizard on YouTube, themeparkwizard.shop. And you can find me hanging out in Nintendo Land like some subscriber did on yesterday and said hello. So say hi. I like hanging out with you peoples. And then you can find me on Twitter at theme_wizard. And check me out as a new writer on the boardwalktimes.net. Check that out.
Perfect. And we have below Ethan.
I don't know. Fly casual.
We got Casual. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, Casual.
You can find me on YouTube, Theme Park Casual, and you can find me on Twitter at Theme Park Casual, where we have theme park thoughts, news, and discussion for the casual visitor from a former theme park commando.
Perfect. Yes, subscribe to Mr. Theme Park Casual. He does amazing vlogging from Disneyland. He does a lot of great stuff from Knott's. He is family here on OG55. Subscribe to his YouTube channel and follow him on Twitter.
4 away from 300 subs on YouTube.
And buy his nice shirts that I always see him wearing. Come on, buy
yes,
those, man.
Yes. Now, Casual, you said you're 4 away from 300.
4 away. I'm at 296 right now.
Well, guess what? By tomorrow morning, thanks to my wizardry, you'll be at 565. So.
There we go. From your lips to God's ears.
Yes.
And Mr. Family Man is down below, host of the Citrus Corner here on the channel. George, if you could let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Disney Family Man 23. I promise you all that my YouTube channel is under construction right now, under different circumstances to put different material on there. I'm probably going to do some vlogs, if you want to see 6 degrees outside where I live, you probably want to wait till I get to another theme park. But I digress. So you could also interact with me on Twitter at Disney George. You can find me on the podcast A Walk with Walt. And of course, my home base right here on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. There we go. It's a wrap, everybody. Comment down below. We would love to hear from you. Smash that like button or twerk on it. Yes. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day.